in my opinion, it was the money and the marketing that bastardized the fitness industry. Because can you imagine opening up a Flex magazine 15, 20 years ago and, seeing, Ronnie Coleman or Arnold in the middle of it like that, and their workout routine was as boring as MAPS Anabolic?
Yeah.
Like, it would not sell anything. What sold was, the tricep bicep blaster workout with cluster sets and drop sets and pyramids and this unique exercise hanging upside down. And that was what sold magazines. That's what grabbed attention. Yeah. And if you had the shit that works really well, that everybody's known about for 100 years, it wouldn't sell. It wouldn't be popular. It wouldn't be new. It wouldn't be unique, which, by the way, is the same trap that all the trainers inside the gyms fell into. We fell into the same trap on, selling our clients on buying more training from us. If I told my clients, hey, we need a squat, overhead press, bench press, deadlift, that's basically what we're going to do for the next 6 months to a year or so, and I'm going to get you great results, I wouldn't have been able to re-sign my clients. Instead, it was, next week, I'm going to show you something new you've never done before. Or wait till you feel this workout I got coming, And on the other side of that, you brought up the bodybuilding side. But in Justin's world, I think was simultaneously the birth of, sports performance, plyometric, stability training, functional type shit was all coming on the scene hard.
Yep.
And then you got the hardcore bodybuilding scene. And so the two of them, and again, money and marketing. What was cool in the money and the marketing side on that? Like, oh man, seeing somebody jump and stabilize on one leg and jump through all these weird hoops and spin and twist and like balance on a stability ball with a squat bar, on your back. Like that stuff became so attractive to people and trainers and clients that it dominated the space, and we all fell right into it. I'm guilty of going down the same path in pursuit of filling my client book up instead of focusing on what was really giving my clients results.
I mean, we all remember people doing tricep press downs while standing on Dynadiscs. What were people doing?
I don't know what we were doing.
Everything was, balancing and whatever. And that's when the functional, when it got crazy in that way. And what happens, you end up ignoring what actually produces the best results. Instead, you're like entertaining your clients with what's new and what's different, or reinforcing the terrible idea that the more sore you get, the more painful this is, the more you feel like you're going to throw up, that means we're doing something good. And especially when a client comes to you because they hate themselves. It's actually quite therapeutic. Like, oh, I'm so fat, I can't stand myself. And then you train them to the point where they feel like they're going to throw up, and it's cathartic. Yeah, that's what I get. That's what I deserve. I need to be beat up. How many times you get a client come up to you and say, oh, why do you want to hire a trainer? Because I need someone to whip me into shape.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I won't train myself that hard if I
just don't have the discipline.
Yeah, dude. So
great. Absolutely.
Another thing that is that now, and it's funny too, because we're talking, this was over a decade ago. Now it's almost like, this is silly to even say, but this wasn't silly back then. Just 10 years ago, it wasn't silly to say that all rep ranges build muscle. You got into debates and arguments with people. It was, this rep range is the best. No, that rep range is the best. And I just looked at things and said, okay, look, powerlifters are big and strong. If low rep ranges don't build muscle, why the hell do powerlifters look the way they do? And then I said, high rep ranges build muscle too. I know bodybuilders that train in the 20 rep range.
Again, marketing. It's too nuanced to say that. It's much easier on a sales funnel or an infomercial to say these reps are for this. These reps are for that, or these reps are for this body type. It's so much easier to sell that idea than to say something as vague as all rep ranges build muscle and lose body fat.
Yeah.
Okay, well then which ones am I supposed to do?
Confuse the muscle.
Yeah.
Right? Then you can get away with all of them at once.
Yeah, or how about this? Like, here's two strength athletes, bodybuilders, beat the crap out of a muscle, leave it alone for a week so it can grow. Olympic weightlifters, practice these movements every day, the same movements every single day. How the heck can those both coincide? You got hyper-frequent Olympic lifters who practice movements on a daily basis for hours, okay? Olympic weightlifters will train 2 or 3 times in a day practicing snatches and cleans. And you got bodybuilders over here who are like, I only do curls on Tuesday, and I beat the crap out of my biceps and I leave them alone for the whole week. Like, could it be possible? This is what would go through my head. Could it be possible that there's truth in both of them? And that if we understood that there's truth in both of them, could we use what's true in a way to where the average person could utilize the benefits of both? And the answer, of course, is yes. Yes, there is truth in both of them. And so this is what I started to apply with clients and with myself. And this is what you guys figured out on your own. Because like I said, look, you train people long enough, you're going to figure this out.
It was funny because even in the world that I was sort of training out of, I was getting made fun of for doing bench press and squats because of all of the functional split stance movements. Like there was this whole movement on basically like Bulgarian squats, split squats, or lunges. And that was like, how you would basically load that as heavy as you could, and that was the best way to do that for athletes because of the fact that you're primarily on the field are going to be in a split stance. And so this whole philosophy around it, which you can make an argument, but for me, it was always, I want to build and establish that fundamental strength. And I can load it the most effective way with a barbell. I get strongest doing that, but then I also move out of that and do both. And so it's like, it's not one or the other. It's both.
Well, the truth is that, and it's funny because when we get like a trainer who's been a trainer for a really long time and they hear some of the MAPS philosophy or hear the way we talk about exercise, they're never impressed because like, oh yeah, I know, that's obvious. Know that. But nobody has been wasn't promoting that, at least not back then.
Nobody applied it.
10 years ago, it's always been known, especially if you'd been a trainer for an extended period of time, you knew that this is the nuts and bolts of training, but nobody was applying it because it wasn't what sold. I mean, at the end of the day, most all trainers, whether you're online, virtually, or in person, have to, feed their families and have a business and keep clients coming in. And that wasn't what was best to keep clients coming. That's the truth. Now, the reality of that is that, yes, it is, because if you stick to good programming, you get a greater percentage of people, way more results. You teach them the fundamentals that they can now carry on forever. And then eventually that comes back to you in referrals and the reputation that you have. But it's hard to see that when you're in it, right? When you're in the end of it, and you got monthly goals. I gotta sell this much to make this much money. And what's a quick way to do that? Oh, a quick way to do that is just like what all the marketers have done, which is sell you on simple, quick ideas that speak to you so I can keep you coming back versus thinking what is probably really best for these clients.
I obviously know you guys now, so I know the answer to this, but even before I knew you guys, I could have made this prediction that our careers all follow the same path. Initially, you're really good at getting clients, selling them training. They stick around for 3 to 6 months, you lose them, and then you got to get new clients, and you're really good at getting new clients. But then what that eventually morphed into as you got good and did exactly what you said, Adam, is clients would stay with you for years. I bet you the last 5 years of your guys' career, you probably cycled through almost no clients. You had the same clients. They stuck with you the whole time.
Yeah.
But the first 5 years, you probably trained 100 people or more because of that idea that you had to show them different things and get them crazy sore and super. So there's a huge myth with trainers, which is that you need to entertain your client that way or show them weird shit all the time. The reality is no, you just need to be able to communicate it well, but train them in the most effective ways possible. They don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
They stay with you forever and you end up becoming far more successful. Speaking of selling the program, that's where the big challenge was because when
it's not sexy.
Well, when I wrote it out, so here's what I understood about myself because I was a huge consumer of fitness. I knew that I would buy something if the person explained it to me, did a good job selling it, but also had some kind of perceived authority. So if it was somebody who I was like, oh yeah, that person has got some authority, and then they did a good job selling it, I would buy it. Regardless if it looked sexy or not, I would at least consider it. So I'm like, okay, I can explain it well. And that was the video I sent you, Adam, to review because I knew you had a really good background in fitness sales. And so I sent, we sent you the sales video so you could give me some critique on it. But the other part was authority. That was where the challenge was. I remember Doug and I talked about that and we're like, well, how do we build authority? I'm like, well, the only way I know to build authority in the fitness space is to look more jacked than anybody else. I'm like, that's not going to happen. Like I got shredded, but I wasn't like, you put me up against on Instagram or at the time in the magazines, no one's going to look at me twice. I don't look like any of these people. So I said, maybe I'll write a book. Like, how am I going to build this authority? And then we talked about maybe doing a podcast. I thought podcasting would be good because it was long form. Because I don't want to use my body to sell anything. I couldn't compete with those people that were out there. Plus, I don't want to do it that way. I wanted to be able to talk and explain and build authority.
OnlyFans wasn't created yet.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. So that's when we got on the phone, Adam, and we met, and then it was like, oh yeah, we got to do a podcast because it's long form, and knowing what we know about fitness, it's unfortunately often sold in short form, which includes a picture and a before and after and a couple taglines.
Mm-hmm.
But real fitness, long-term success requires long form. How do I know this? How long did it take you guys to sell your clients to make real changes? Right? Sometimes years of training them.
Well, to that point, that had a lot to do, obviously, with our strategy of not actually selling the program when it was ready to sell.
That's right.
I mean, when the podcast had started and we were on episode 1, the natural progression, I think, for somebody in this space would have been to promote the program that we had to sell. And we didn't. We sought out to go prove to people that we could help them for free and change their lives and make an impact on them by giving them free advice and building that authority, building that trust, building that loyalty. And then we would be able to offer something up to sale. But we had it all along.
No.
But thank God we had the experience that we had to know the importance of we need to help these people. We need to show these people first before we try and convince them, especially since we were trying to convince them to do something that they were going to look at and go like, oh, bench, squat, deadlift, overhead press. Come on, where's the secrets at? Where's the stuff that I didn't know that I'm supposed to do at? And so we had to first build that trust.
Yes,
through the show.